Amazing. Amazing. Welcome to the book show, the one student, one book, one author mantra, the Global Readers Circle, the ultimate podcast that is designed to inspire and motivate a lifelong learner out of every global person. On behalf of our global audience, I am so humbled to introduce Author Donnie to the house. Donnie, how you doing?
Thank you, my friend. Thank you, Gaudian. And it is a pleasure, a real pleasure to be speaking to you today on a very important subject that is global indeed. And I am speaking to you today from the Phoenix, Arizona, USA.
Wow, wow, amazing. Well, Donnie, I think we are going to be having fun on the show because you'll be sharing your lifelong story with us as a lifelong learner. But first, we'd like you to introduce yourself. Who is Donnie Lansdale in this big ministry of books, creativity, and reading?
I have been a lifelong learner along with everyone else, and I must tell you, I am not only proud of what you're doing, but I commend you in the highest regard for doing what a great service you are providing for everyone worldwide and helping them become a learner, a lifelong learner, because truly, my friend, it is something that is important to all of us. My journey started out many years ago when I was just a young lad, and my education level at the time was very limited, and I come from a very poor family. When I say poor, I mean we didn't have very much at all, and there was five of us in our family, five kids, and my mother and my father, and I had to share my room with my brothers, and it was quite crowded to be imagined, as you might imagine. However, I realized then at that time that I was going to need to do something to become a better person, and
Yeah,
education I found was the way.
yeah. Wow. Wow. Go on. I'm engrossed.
I was uh, I was involved in very different aspects of high school when I was able to get into the upper grade level, uh, and I was able to graduate from high school. But while I was in high school, I I took it on myself to involve myself in as much of the different arts and sporting events that I possibly could. I was a member of the drama group. I was a
Wow.
member of the um, I was in various uh, plays and for we would put on a play in the fall of the year, and then again in the spring we'd do a musical. And for my 4 years in high school, I was involved in each one of them, and it was a great way to, I guess, get a feeling for the arts, the and hone my craft as a person. But that was very enjoyable. I was also involved in sports. Now,
Hmm.
when you think of when you think of when you think of global learning and being inspired by books, I was inspired at an early age by athletes who wrote books. I
Wow.
remember we had a one of the ones that I can remember quite vividly was a track runner who won Olympic gold in the 1936 Olympics in Berlin. His name was Jesse Owens, and
Hmm.
he wrote a book. And I read the book and I was inspired to greatness because you can be
Wow.
inspired in so many different ways and
Yeah.
so many different people can inspire you. And a lot of it can be through education, a lot of it can be through literature, and a lot of it can be through sporting people that are involved in sports. So I continued to do that. Once I graduated from high school, I couldn't go to college right away because I was drafted into the armed forces, and so I spent the next 4 years in the United States Air Force, and I did have a chance to travel abroad while I was in England. I spent 2 years living in England, and that was a cultural experience that I truly enjoyed as well. And I really didn't start my career as a podcaster and radio announcer until after I was out of the service. And then I became a radio announcer, which I found to be very easy to do. And I worked for several different radio stations over the course of the next 35 years. Once I
Wow.
retired and moved here to Arizona, at that point, I started my podcasting career, and I've produced and hosted probably 7 or 8 podcasts here in the last couple of years, all very successful. And then I became an audiobook narrator
Wow.
for Audible.com, and I narrate books. And that's when I really turned the corner on learning, because as I was narrating these books, I was actually reading them at the same time, and these books would be from every different imagined genre that you might imagine. Everything from self-help books to education books to fairy tales and stories and fantasies and fiction and nonfiction.
Wow.
So it was a great, great, great experience for me,
Wow.
and that's where I'm at right now. Yeah.
Wow. Donnie Lansdale. Wow, I am so engrossed. I'm so humbled. Well, you would pass for a room full of books. I mean, with your vast experience in the world of books, you are an asset so far humanity is concerned. Thank you very much
I have you're
for
quite welcome.
putting on the discipline, the commitment it takes to learn, because from your story, it shows that learning is the greatest asset any person can be involved with. So I like you to share with us. I like you to give us some tips about what made reading and staying a lifelong learner very enjoyable for you, and why you would recommend that for anyone. Anyone.
I would certainly recommend it. As a matter of fact, I'm glad you asked me because I have together a list of the most 10 influential books that I've read over the past several years that I think others might find helpful as they continue to grow as an inspired reader, and so that they can get some tips on maybe how that might help them. I'm not recommending this that everyone read all of these 10 books, but if you do get the opportunity to pick one up, I'm sure that you will find it beneficial and rewarding for you as a person. Each book has its own special way of touching people's lives, and as it did with mine, and helps you become a better person. Now remember that it's not just about reading the book. It's about absorbing the information that you read and putting it into a practical way of inspiring yourself as a person and what you want to do with your life.
Wow. Wow. Go on, Donnie. Go on. Well,
So
you're talking about why every person should become a lifelong learner, and the tips. What would you say would be a yardstick for someone to enjoy the idea of reading, because the knowledge that most people do not have access to books, and also the knowledge that most people have access to books but they do not read. And we know that if you have access to books and you do not read, there's no difference between the person who has this access to books and do not read and the person who does not have access to these books. So for the person who has access to books, and has failed to make it necessary as a medium for them to invest in themselves, maybe for the purpose of entertainment or enjoyment, or maybe exploring different fields. What would you say? What would you rather prescribe as those tips that would make reading a fun thing for any person?
Well, one of my favorite books of all time is called Mindset. It's the new psychology of success, and it's by a lady. The author's name is Carol Dweck, and Carol is often quoted in many of the podcasts that you hear in regards to this mindset and this new psychology of success, and explores. And what she does in this book is she actually explores the concept of a growth mindset and how belief in one's ability to learn can lead to greater success.
Hmm. Wow. Wow. Go on, Donnie. Go on.
Another book that I would highly recommend for your viewers worldwide would be called The Power of Habit:
Mm.
Why We Do What We Do in Life and in Business. It's by Charles Duhigg, and the book actually examines the science behind habits and how understanding them can lead to positive change and learning. Because let's face it, we all have our good habits and sometimes we have our bad habits. So
Sure.
by providing a roadmap of learning, a lifelong learning, you're going to provide yourself a way of getting out of whatever situation you might be in. Now, it could be you don't have any money. It might be you don't have anything to job. You don't have home. Reading gets you far beyond that. And that's why it's important that you understand the power of good habits and the power of bad habits and why we do what we do in life.
Wow. Amazing. Thank you very much, Donnie. Go on.
Well, the next book I'd recommend is one that's been around for many, many years. And everyone is familiar with Dale Carnegie, of course. He is a great author of How to Win Friends and Influence People. Now,
Mm.
this book is important because it offers timeless principles for effective communication and relationship building, essential skills for learning from others. And just like our relationship, you and I's, because we become friends, and the distance makes no difference. The education makes no difference. There's no difference. But relationship building is an essential skill that everyone should have, and you can do that through reading the right material. And that's why How to Win Friends and Influence People is such an important part of the big picture.
Wow. Donnie. Well, if you're streaming this, we've been Donnie Lansdale, and I like to tell you that one of the rare gems in life is the books you would read and the people you would meet. It would become the greatest investment and the greatest asset so far humanity is concerned. And Donnie has been so incredible on the show. If you're going to be streaming this, you would learn to guard your mind, you would learn to renew your mind, you would learn to be intentional about how the bigger picture can help you stay focused on the small things that count. Well, I've been so engrossed, and I believe that whoever is going to be streaming this will not have to listen to this alone. Call your friends, call your family, call your spouse, and don't forget to share this episode. Don't forget to share it with your friends and family. We've been on to Donnie, an amazing figure so far this big ministry of books, reading, and creativity is concerned. Well, Donnie, I am so humbled. I'm so engrossed. I like you to have the floor. Let's get going.
I have a couple more books if you wouldn't mind, or do we have time?
Sure, we do have a lot of time. Go on, Donnie.
Okay, so one of the next books I'd like to recommend, Godian, is something to me I think is absolutely important, and that's the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People,
Effective
just like
people.
yourself. That's
Hmm.
right, by Stephen R. Covey. Now, this
Yeah.
book is a guide to personal and professional effectiveness that encourages proactive learning and self improvement. Now, for those of
Mm,
you who don't quite understand what proactive means, it's simply you are taking it on yourself,
mm,
not not because someone said you need to do this, not because
mm,
someone says you have to do this. It's
mm,
because you inside have this feeling that you need to reach the mountaintop and you can do it on your own. Of course, we're going to have God's help all the time, but it, a self improvement program is encouraging yourself to be proactive. And that's the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey.
mm. Amazing. Go on, Donnie.
Now, here's another one I think you might like, and I think your audience might like. If you have the opportunity, you definitely want to pick this up because this book is ideal for anyone who believes in the Word of God and has the opportunity to exist in a world where He is giving you the power to be better. And it's called Grit. Grit. It's very simple. It's the power of passion and perseverance. The book is by Angela Duckworth,
Wow.
discusses the role of grit in achieving long term goals and the learning process, emphasizing resilience in overcoming challenges. You know, we are all faced on a daily basis with challenges. Sometimes it's just a challenge for us to get up in the morning. But
Mm.
if you've got the grit, if you've got the power of passion and perseverance, what do you think you're going to do? You're going to jump out of that bed every morning and you're going to say, I've got one life to live. I don't know how long I have to live it, but I am certainly going to do everything within my power today to make this the best day of my life.
Amazing. Amazing. Go on, Donnie.
Now,
Go on.
another good book I would suggest for all of your viewers is something that I think a lot of people probably would like to know more about. And that is, what is it that drives us? And the name of the book is
Yeah.
called Drive: The Surprising Truth About What Motivates Us. And it's by
Wow.
Daniel H. Pink, Pink, just like the color. And this
Mm.
book explores the intrinsic motivation and understanding how it can enhance learning. And remember, we're talking about learning on this podcast. This is what it's all about. It's about personal growth and
Yeah.
learning. And this book will tell us a little bit about what it is that motivates us, what motivates you, what motivates me, and all of the people out there. And it's called Drive: The Surprising Truth About What Motivates Us.
Wow. 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 Donnie, I have lost count, but I'm sure that our audience are engrossed because I am. And I'm pretty sure that you have more on your list to devour. I am out here, and I'm sure our audience will be so glad to listen to your experience in some seconds and minutes. Thank you very
I've
much.
got
Good
I've
evening.
got one more to finish up with, if you don't mind.
Mm.
This is because this is what we're talking about. We're talking about learning. We're talking about the inner journey to optimal performance. And so
Yeah.
my last book to share with you today is a book called The Art of Learning, which really typifies everything and wraps up everything that we've been talking about here on this podcast. I know you've been talking about it for a long time, that you're never too old to learn, and literacy and reading is the key motivators to becoming a better person. So this book, The Art of Learning: An Inner Journey to Optimal Performance, is by Josh Watskin. And what this book does, it shares insights on the learning process from a world champion chess player and
Hmm.
martial artist, focusing on personal growth and mastery. Here's the thing. A lot of people come, as I said, I was speaking a little earlier about sports and how important that is and how that can motivate some people. Other people, this is a guy that started playing chess when he was 6 years old and become a grand master of chess because he never gave up the dream of becoming the very best in the world. And that's
Wow.
exactly what he did. And along that way, he also became a master martial artist as well.
Wow. 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 Wow.
Now,
Amazing. Amazing.
now I know these books cover a range of topics related to personal development, learning strategies
Yeah.
and motivation, and effective habits, making them valuable resources for anyone who's looking to enrich their knowledge and skills. So I encourage you to share this with your friends. Share it with somebody you love. Share it with a total stranger. They will thank you later. And someday they may be knocking on your door saying, without your help, without your encouragement, I would have never read that book, which has led me to where I am now.
Wow. Wow. Well, we've been on to Donnie Lansdale, and I promise you that you do not need to devour this alone. You need to call your friends. You need to share this. This has been one of the most amazing episodes for me. This session, I have been so impressed, and I'm sure that you don't have to enjoy this alone. You have to share with your friends. So, Donnie, let's talk about you. Let's talk about you. With your
Sure.
experience and your vast knowledge in the world of books and in life itself, what would you say would have happened to Donnie Lansdale if he was not an example of a lifelong learner? What would you say your life would have looked like if you were not a committed reader? Because I
I
know
think
that the greatest readers are the greatest doers.
I think it's very easy to make an answer for that, and that is simply you can be part of the have and you can be part of the have-nots. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be wealthy, because in your heart and in your mind, wealth means a lot more than money could ever buy. And the wealth
Yeah.
that I seeked, I think, was able to expand my brain and expand my emotions and open the doors to other people and try to help. That to me is the most important thing. I don't know where I would have been if I had not picked up a book, if I had not listened to a inspirational story from a motivational speaker. I probably would have just been like a lot of other people who go through their life and everything is uneventful. If you are satisfied with a life of uneventful day to day mundane living, then you can go that way. If you pick up a book, my friend, if you read that book and if you understand what that book's message is, and it can start with the Bible. And you can start with the Bible, or you can start with the Quran, you can start with anything you want, but pick it up,
Mm,
read it.
That was powerful enough. You can start with the Bible and you can also start with the Quran. Well, Donnie, I'd like you to talk about the spirituality of words. Do you see, can you maybe affirm the words on books, the words on papers have the powers to manifest changes and transformation in a person's life?
Well, there's no question about it. I mean, when you think about all the all the people that have come before us, all the people, the Nelson Mandelas, the Martin Luther Kings, spirituality and faith and the Word of God is probably what has brought them through difficult times. And as we know, it's important. Now, uh, understanding what you're reading is also important because you can read and then if you're not mindful, then you're
Mm,
not going to take that information and put it to practical use. You know, you could read a book, and I'll make this a simple explanation. You could read a book about how to assemble a bicycle, even if you don't have a bicycle. Because someday you may have one and you might want to know how to put it together if it gets broken. Now, that a lot of people might laugh about that. But the fact is that you read the book on how to fix a bike. So there's so many things and you know, one of the things I might mention, Gunnian, is that in today's world, we're so electronic. Everything is done with social media and YouTube and all these other social medias. And you know what? That's good. It's good. But I'll tell you what, nothing. Nothing replaces picking up a good book and sitting in quiet meditation and
mm,
reading that book and then taking the information from that book and using it on something practical in your life. You may not use it tomorrow. It
wow,
might not even be next week, but someday
wow,
you're going to remember I read that in that book and you know what? I remembered it.
wow,
I want to tell
wow.
you. I want to tell you. I want to tell you a little bit about what's going on with me right now. As a matter of fact, all those years in radio, I played a lot of music over the years, and I played a lot of different music. My very first job in radio was at a religious radio station, and I played gospel music on the radio. And believe me, I was so excited. And this is another example of don't try to if you first you don't succeed, try again. Because I
Yeah,
when I went into radio, I never imagined that my first job would be at a religious radio station. I was a young kid of
wow,
19. I didn't even know anything about
wow,
religion practically, but I worked at a radio station, and that's what was important. It didn't matter to me that it was a religious radio station. It gave me the foundation, the basics to move into another radio station, and it kept building and building until I was at one of the top radio stations in the Midwest for 30 something years. And I'll tell you what, that's how you do it. You start with the building blocks of life. The building blocks of life is you start and then you just keep building on those blocks until you reach where you are and where you want to be. And that's important. But getting back to my story, as far as what I did, what I'm doing right now, is that I wanted to every music, every song has a story to it. Believe it or not,
yeah,
this is why it's so important that on uh, my new podcast called The Music Chronicles, and it's on all of your favorite podcast applications right now. If you subscribe to any of them, if you don't, give me a jingle, give me I'll send you the link. But anyway, I'll post the link on there for you. But if you like music, and who doesn't? I mean, a lot of people worldwide. This is one of the beauties of a worldwide gospel ministry. Is the same thing. Everyone likes music. You might not like country music, but you might like reggae music. You might not like reggae, but you might like easy listening. So anyway, I put together the perfect podcast. This podcast not only tells you about the song, which you may have heard. I mean, how many of us listened to a song over the years and said, geez, I wonder how I wonder how they wrote that. I wonder what's the meaning behind that. And so I put together a podcast that tells you exactly what the song is all about, and then I play the song for you. So it's a beautiful combination of information and entertainment. And each week I
Mm.
feature three songs on my podcast, and I'd love to have everyone follow me. If you go on to your favorite podcast and you follow the Music Chronicles with Donnie Lansdale, if you do that for me, uh, every time a new episode comes out, you will be notified, and that way you won't miss anything. I sure would appreciate it.
Wow, Donnie, I'm a fan, and I can reaffirm to the fact that you are one superstar so far this world of books, reading, and creativity is concerned.
Here's
The
another
first
thing.
time
Go
okay,
ahead. Well,
go on, go on.
I just wanted to mention if you're if you're listening or watching out there and you're a writer or you'd like to be a writer, I have one tip for you that cannot go wrong. And I am a member of this Facebook group. Now, this Facebook group, and I want you to write this down. I'll put it in the notes. Is called the Writers Forum Facebook group. Now, this is the largest group on Facebook. There's almost 200,000 members worldwide that are on this Facebook group called the Writers Forum. And not only that, but this group is made up of writers of all ages and authors of all ages. So if you're just starting out and you're considering being a writer, and boy, that would be wonderful if you could. And a lot of people start out young. You can get all the help you need by just being a member of the group because they are all there, all 200,000 of them, to help other people become a better writer. And my good friend who started this up several years ago, he lives over in France, and his name is Andy Oakes. And if you tell them that Donnie
Yeah.
Lansdale sent you, they sure would appreciate that. But it's called the Writers Forum Facebook group. It's on Facebook, so if you can get Facebook, you can join this group. Now, I'm just saying this because it's great for young writers to get help from other people. And I see posts on there all the time. Hey, I need to find out a little bit about how often I should write, or maybe what's a good theory or what's a good subject matter to write about. Anything that there's not a dumb question you can ask on this group. And they will be kind enough to reply with you and give you suggestions that might help you along the way.
Mm. Wow, Donnie, thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to have a fine mind like you on our spotlight. On behalf of a global audience, I am so humbled. I feel very humbled. Well, I need to say this. If you're streaming this station, you should know that Donnie Lansdale is an amazing figure. So far, the world of books, authors, writing, and creativity is concerned. And I will specially recommend this podcast to everyone. I think if you are this person who finds it very difficult to sleep at night, if you're this depressed person and you are finding it difficult to take actions, well, Donnie Lansdale will not disappoint you. Trust me, he will not disappoint you. And I personally recommend that you go stream, you go listen to Donnie. I will share the link, like our culture and tradition is. We'll leave the link on our podcast notes so every member of this global community can get to have access to Donnie. Don't forget to share his link and don't forget to tell people about Donnie. Donnie is doing an amazing job so far this healing ministry is concerned. Donnie, thank you very much for honoring our Ivy. I feel very humbled. I feel very humbled on behalf of our global audience. We are so humbled.
I
So,
just want to say thank you so much for having me on the program, and continued success to you and your ministry, your podcast. And again, I'm always around to help out. And so if someone has any questions, you got the link, and I gave you my email address. Don't hesitate to let me know. Continued success to you, my friend. And remember, every every story, every book is worth picking up. There's not anything out there that you can't learn from. So continue reading and make it a point to read something every day. It'll do something special for your heart, for your soul, and for your mind.
wow, wow. Well, on the occasion of one student, one book, one author mantra, the Global Readers Circle, the ultimate podcast that is designed to inspire and motivate a committed reader and a lifelong learner out of every global person. Well, we've been on to author Donnie Lansdale. Author Donnie Lansdale has been an amazing an incredible figure in the last couple of minutes. And so you don't forget that you become the books you read and the authors that you meet. These authors promise to take you by your hands. Obviously, if you're streaming the station a couple of times, Donnie was saying don't forget to email me. Don't forget to reach out on Facebook. That shows that everything you need to succeed is out there on the creative plan. So you key into the experience and the helping hands of amazing figures like Donnie Lansdale. And trust me, you're going to be the next big thing. And humanity soars on such commitment, and posterity relies on this. Well, Donnie Lansdale, I am so humbled to have you on a spotlight, so humbled to have you on this session. And on behalf of our global audience, we are so humbled to have your helping hands on a global reading campaign and author store. The journey that is intentional to inspire and motivate a lifelong learner out of every global person. We hope that we are going to be having your amazing voice and seeing your beautiful and handsome face on our other shows during this festivity. I am very humbled on behalf of our global audience. Thank you very much, Donnie. Thank you.